Hello everyone, this is Sean here. I'm going to provide a brief demonstration on how to remove the oxygen sensor from a 2006 through 2008 Triumph Daytona 675 motorcycle. The first step you'll want to do is remove the right side fairing. Although I have all fairings and the tank off right now, you only need to remove the right side fairing. Now, many people ask, what is the purpose of removing the oxygen sensor from this bike? Well, frankly, the reason it is installed in the first place is for the manufacturer to pass emissions tests through different government agencies, and it is only necessarily used during specific RPM ranges and load scenarios. So essentially, when starting the motorcycle, it helps get the correct air-fuel ratio upon startup when the motor is cold. And then from there on, essentially it only has certain duties during specific load periods where the EPA and other government agencies do testing on the motorcycle for emissions reasons. So the reason to disable it is to smooth out the power delivery throughout the motorcycle. Now, there are a couple different ways to go about it. I wanted to physically remove the unit itself and disable it through the computer. So you can either simply just disable it through the computer and call it good and leave everything essentially attached. But I prefer to remove it completely. Right now it's only dead weight to me. And the O2 sensor itself is blocking a slight amount of exhaust flow. Right, so what I did first is remove the right side fairing. Now if you find this harness that contains the wiring for the horn, for the right side fairing turn signals, and then the last one is for the actual the O2 sensor itself. So the first thing you'll want to do is unclip these two clips. Okay, you follow that down. There's the O2 sensor itself. As you can see, I've already cut the wiring there. I don't necessarily recommend this in case you may ever want to reinstall for whatever reason. The only reason I did that myself is because I don't have an 18 millimeter standard wrench to access this nut here. So what I did instead is use my Craftsman 3/4 inch drive with an extension and a deep 18 millimeter socket. I simply cut the wiring and then fit the socket over top and loosened it up. So after you do that, there it is. And you can see this has been disabled for a while because there's a decent amount of buildup, especially toward the threads right on the tip there. I know it's hard for you guys to see this. Let's see if we can focus a little better. But anyway, so that is gone. Now here is an M12-125 oil drain bolt, and it actually says this is for a Nissan, so an automotive bolt. It comes with its own gasket or crush washer here, and that's pretty handy. So the reason I picked this bolt is because there's not a whole lot of thread here, and this gasket actually even helps the process. You don't want it to be very deep. So when installing this, you don't want it to sit very deep within the exhaust itself, otherwise you'll be blocking flow. And another reason is if you ever need to take it out, there will be a lot of buildup on the tip of the threads, and it may be very, very problematic trying to get it out. So I'm going to tighten this up nice and snug here. Don't want to necessarily over torque it. That gasket there should make it pretty airtight and sealed. So looks like it's about done moving here. Just couple more little pulls. I want to make sure I'm getting it nice and tight on there, so the seal is good. Looks like I have a little ways to go yet, actually. There is some buildup, I think, on the threads already, so a handy dandy gear wrench is definitely nice to have for a scenario like this. And the one the oil drain bolt I bought has a 14 millimeter hex on the top here. Alrighty. I don't know if you can see, but it does look pretty tight there. Just want to make sure it's in there good. Definitely want to keep that sealed so I don't have a slight exhaust leak, even though it would be minimal. It's still more than I would want. Alrighty. So now I believe that's in there pretty good. So the next thing you'll want to do is remove this entire line. So I have a small wire cutter here to essentially remove these zip ties. And honestly, if you don't want to remove the zip ties, which there's no reason for them to be here, except this one you'll want to keep for the clutch cable there, but this one here you can easily snip. There's no reason for that one to be there. All it did was hold the O2 line and the clutch cable together there. But there you have it. Now, if for any reason you wanted to simply disable it without actually making an adjustment on the computer itself, which I have already done, you can buy one of these. Now, this is a little Lambda O2 sensor eliminator. The way it works, to my understanding, is there is a resistor inside here that equals the signal provided by the O2 sensor when in optimal air and fuel mixture load. So for the times that it's not on startup, and also the times that it is simply in that range where the EPA measures the emissions, then this is the signal that it will replicate. So essentially, when you're, say, full throttle at 12,000 RPM or anything above the emissions standard, it sends a certain signal then, which is essentially just to allow the optimal air-fuel mixture, because they no longer care what the EPA says. So this will essentially replicate that signal. You can simply attach it in here to the harness, and then you wouldn't even necessarily need to go into the computer and eliminate the O2 sensor. And you could also leave it attached if you wanted. Now, this is what the previous owner did. I have since decided to completely remove it and also delete it from the computer. The bike now has a custom map without the SAI, X-up valve, or O2 sensor, and also it is tuned for the BMC filter and Jardine RT1 exhaust that I have. So I'm pretty well set here, but there are multiple ways to go about it. Like I said, if you want to simply keep everything here physically, but just trick the computer into not using the oxygen sensor and changing the ECU air-fuel mixture readouts. So there you have it. I hope I was able to help somebody that may want to do this modification that hasn't already done it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I'll get back to you very promptly. Also, please like and subscribe for more how-to videos. Thank you very much for watching.